Hey Isaac, thank you for joining us. Yeah, so I just basically going to comment.
A pleasure, Musa. Yeah.
And we'll just start with, before we get into Afrilearn itself, we'll just start with, who you are, right? Who is Isaac Oladipupo? Where did you grow up? You were born in Nigeria, everything about you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Musa. And fantastic job you're doing with Eruption. I'm so glad to be here. And it's a pleasure to see another Nigerian doing great work. It always gladdens my heart. So well done. All right. Pretty much I grew up from a Nigerian family, from Osun State, Odeomo to be precise. But of course, I grew up most of my life actually in Nigeria, particularly in Lagos, Alagbado, Lagos. So I was raised by a well-to-do family, but you know that story when they say, it went from, we're very wealthy to basically average, at some points, of course, due to
Yeah,
my father, yeah, due to my father's job and all of that, but I think that is one of the best things that have happened to me, really, sincerely speaking. I'm not sure I'll be here. Well, maybe possibly, but I'm not sure really. You never know. But of course, that's changed my perspective about life, about the fact that your choices actually determines your reality. So I grew up from that background. Um, my father used to work for a large company, or Nigerians then was a top manager there. The company got, I think, company got acquired, so they got retrenched. So from a very high position, we had to sell all our cars one by one until everything was sold. And then I remember we had to change school. So change from a top-notch school to, of course, not a bad school, but just one of those average schools. Um, but despite how bad it seemed then, we were still better than the people in our neighborhood, a lot of them, painfully, especially my friends, right? So what I saw was that I grew up alongside childhood friends where we play football together. Children, no matter where you come from, once we are playing football, once we gather together, we're just friends, right?
yeah,
So I grew up with that in that set. Was a very is a childhood I'm very fond of. When I remember, I just smile, right? But but certain things happened in my life that were very instructive. First was the fact that when I was in SS okay, when I was to
So did
start
you do
secondary
your whole
school.
school in Osun State, like primary, secondary, and
No, no, no. In Lagos State, actually, in Lagos, I grew up in Lagos State.
oh, okay.
I'm from Osun State in terms of state of
Okay.
origin, but I grew up in Lagos State entirely. I never stayed in Osun. Yeah. So,
Were you a border or day school?
am I what?
Were you a border? Did you go to boarding school or you day school?
I didn't go to boarding school, unfortunately. I wish I
Ah.
did. I wish I did. I wish I did. Right? I almost did. For that was actually the story I was about to share now. So I finished primary school and I was supposed to get into secondary school. So I did entrance exam for Meron Model College. Meron Model College is supposed to be boarding school, right? But it was at that instant that my parents decided that I was going to go stay with my grandma, with my mom's mom. She was staying at Tony Village. She was, in this well-to-do upper scale environment. At Tony Village, she stayed in Yaba. She worked in Tony Village. She was working for a church called Apostolic Faith. I've never shared this story before, interestingly. Um, so
Thank
she
you.
was working in the printing press department of Apostolic Faith Church, in Antony Village. Apostolic Faith Church is quite a well-known church, where they don't use drums. They believe in solemn prayers and all of those things. And it was very, very instructive. I learned a lot from that environment. Beautiful experience, right? So now growing up with my grandma, so from JSS1 to SS3, so SS2, sorry, I was with my grandma. I stayed with her. I left Lagos for Antony Village. So every morning we would wake up. My grandma would wake up at 5 a.m. in the morning and wake me up at 5 a.m. We would shower. We have to go join the staff bus that would take because she worked at the prison press office for the church in Antony Village. So that's where she work. That's where she works. The church has offices where they pay salaries and all of those things. So she was one of the people there, as old as she was. So we wake up 5 a.m. in the morning. I'll prepare, do everything, wash plates, and then we'll go wait for the staff bus at the bus stop. I need to pick myself, my grandma, to Anthony Village. So I will stop by the road and go to school. Then I was attending a missionary school called Aladura Comprehensive College in Anthony Village. Then my grandma to go to our office in Anthony Village. After school, I'll join her at the office, and then I will do different work for different people in the organization. They were quite old people, but they were very, very values driven. I learned a lot. Then you see, living with a grandma, staying with a grandma, with old people at that age gave me perspective to life. It showed me that in this life, there is no gimmicks. There are no gimmicks. It is what you sow that you reap. If you want to reap an old age where you are lounging and enjoying the greatest pleasures of life, you have to sow the right seeds very early. It also showed me that really our decisions determine our destiny. You can't change the process, and principles are principles universally, right? So you helped me see all of those things. And so after my secondary school, well, before my secondary school, actually, when I was promoted to SS2, so my parents heard that I had switched to art class naturally because I was very good with art-related topics.
When you said the head, I see problem.
It was problem, actually. I'm guessing there it was really problem. So they heard that Pamela, they call me Pamela at home, not Isaac. That I switched to art class, so and my mom has always said, because we are just two, myself and my elder brother. My elder brother studied the commercials, and there's commercial arts and science. So my mom has always said that Meiji Mobi, meaning that I only gave it to two of you. One of you has to be a doctor, so that you treat me when I'm old.
Bad stereotype. I love it.
That's so that I have to have somebody that will be treating me. That you have to, So where's the head?
So your brother and you were staying with your grandmother, or was it only you that stayed with your grandmother?
Only me stay with my grandmother. So my brother will come see me once in a while. My mom will come see me once in a while. So every time they come, I will cry that I want to follow them back home. I was so small.
Is that your stubborn child or what? Why did
I wasn't a stubborn child, really. Okay, so this was the thing. They were using me. They were using me to feel a need, right? What was the need? Grandma needed someone to be with her. And they didn't want to hire someone. So they thought that, okay, I should go and stay with grandma. So I can help grandma with little things while I was staying with her. So it was more or less like I was feeling a need for grandma, and I really, really loved that time, So at that level, they had to come pick me. They came to pick me and took me back home because I went to art class. So they now took me. So I was supposed to now be in SS2, but because the new school I was supposed to resume in back in Lagos, back in where my parents' place, said that no, that if I have to start in sciences class, that I have to have the basics. So I had to go back to SS1 again, even though I had been promoted to SS2. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying.
Oh, from science, you're promoted to SS2, but they say because you don't have SS1 arts, you have to go back to SS1.
No, in my school, I excelled better in art-related subjects. So I was already promoted. I was promoted to SS2, right? SS1, sorry. From GSS3, you choose which class you want to, exactly. So because the school saw that this guy is best in art-related stuff, so they naturally put me in the art classes. But my brother joined her. You have to do data doctor or technology or something like that. So to the point that even while I was writing my WAEC, my brother filled my form for me and wrote what he wanted me to be. Interestingly, we have a lot to change in our African mindset, right? So, however, though, when I got back, they did what they wanted to do. They switched me back to our science class, but I had to pay for a year. I had to take that SS1 class again so that I could get the basics of sciences class, right?
You actually did science all through.
I did science all through, So I repeated SS1 again, even though I'd been promoted already. So that I could get the sciences background, because I was while in arts. Yeah. So I basically finished up. And the good for me, I did my WAEC when I was in SS2. and I aced everything at once. I also did UME. I aced
That
everything.
Yoruba boy, yo.
Typical
Everything class, everything, A star.
you know, you know, and then did UME too. I couldn't believe my eyes. I aced everything, and then did the entrance exam at Lagos State University. I got in immediately. So I got into management technology. So I was now in sciences class officially, management technology. So that's my brother filling my GME form for me. I said management technology is technology course. So I started. So I struggled with some courses, to be candid, but I think that was majorly because I was hardly around in school, to be very candid. This is what happened. So while all of that was going on, I fell in love with books, very early in life. I have a circle of friends. I think one of the greatest blessings in life,
You
really.
mean literature, like novels and stuff, or what do you mean?
No, I mean inspirational books, actually, more inspirational books than literature. Yeah, inspirational books. People like Miles Monroe. I got introduced to Miles Monroe very early. People like Sam Adeyemi. I'm serious. And Barack Obama. So started reading a lot of books. Brain Tracy.
How old were you then? When you
I think I was still in I was in my late teenage years, 18, 19.
Very
Yeah.
good Barack Obama.
Yes,
All right.
yes, yes.
Go ahead.
So I started reading those books, and then so I remember when I got to school, to uni, I would sit down and write a lot. So I ended up writing my first book. I wrote a book. I said, because one day I just thought, all these writings I'm doing, why not let me convert it to a book? So I wrote a book. I just wrote a book about life generally based on my experiences. I titled it Success Power. And interestingly, one of our close mentors, then Sam Salau, he's a publisher. So he was like, this book is fantastic. Let's publish it. So I saved up money and I got the book published. So I published my first book at that very young age.
Wow.
But guess, yeah, still in university, so my first or second year thereabouts. But that was not the end. The book went on to get me my first job while I was in 200 level. Now, how did it happen? The book found its way to Genevieve magazine. Genevieve magazine was one of the top leading magazines in Nigeria, when it comes to lifestyle magazine for women.
Yeah.
So at that time, they were looking for a young chap to basically report things from a perspective of the youth. So I was called upon.
You're in Lagos. No better place.
You understand? I was in Lagos. So I was called upon, and then I got there. I told them I'm still in school. And they were like, no problem, as long as you can do both. So I started earning 80,000.
Normal salary, normal staff salary.
Normal staff salary. The people that I met there, I was earning the same amount to them. Like they were older than me.
They were vexed with you.
They were older than me. They were relationship me. It is relationship. I was good with relationships actually, quite to an extent. So we're friends. And they didn't know, of course. I won't tell you that this that. It was so one day I discovered how much they were earning, and I saw that wow, people that almost could give birth to me, I was earning the same amount to them, and they were graduates already. I was an undergrad, but just because I wrote a book and I could, I was quite confident and all of that.
But do your parents know at this point?
At this point, my mom did not know. My parents did not know. And there's the reason.
Pocket money now reduce.
you get it. They got to know eventually, right? But as far as they didn't know, the reason why they didn't even know was not because of pocket money. I didn't care about the pocket money anymore at this point because I was already doing many things for myself, right? But the reason why I didn't want them to know was because my mom could be very she loves her son so much, so she like, okay, because that job meant that I had to leave Ojo, that's Lagos State University. I was staying in the hostel for Ikoyi every morning and come back every evening, every single day. So I was doing that every day. I would leave Ojo, Ojo, go to Ikoyi. James magazine was in Ikoyi, Raymond Njoku Street, Ikoyi.
At that point, was traffic as bad?
Traffic was terrible. And let me tell you, there were days when I was coming from work because I would come very late because of the traffic from the highland. It was a long journey. But because, man, I couldn't believe the amount I was earning. I couldn't believe it. I was a big boy. I turned a big boy overnight, right? So, but one of those, I'm telling you, one of those nights, that's how they started robbing. And alongside this, what is the name of this road now? Iba area. Those roads are very terrible. Then I don't know how they are now, right? So they rob at night. So during traffic, gridlock. You just see they start shooting, and then people will leave their cars and start running. So I remember one day like that, I left my bag in the bus. I ran, and then we ran back afterwards. It was like went through a lot, but it was fun. It was really fun,
It was fun.
It was fun.
Somebody
It was
listening
fun.
to this is like, how is this fun?
It was fun. It was fun because
Nigerian
you opened me up to life very early. As a matter of fact, I think that one of the leverages I've had in life really came from that first job opportunity because I met a lot of people. I met top actors, actresses. I interviewed the CEO of Skybank. Me, only me. Interviewed CEO of
What was your
Skybank.
job role? What did they say you should do at that
I
point?
was a staff writer. I started as an editorial assistant. I was promoted. I was promoted within the first year, right? As at that time, the graduates were being paid 40,000 naira. Like it was big money then, right?
What
But
year?
guess what?
What year was
Yes.
it?
40K. I'm very terrible with years, except I check my CV. But I know it was 20,000
It was Obasanjo period.
no, now it was on that list now. I think it was who was after Obasanjo, maybe the person after Obasanjo period, right? But thing is, even that 40K was what I started with, right? But within the first year, I was promoted and I started, they doubled my salary, 80K. Big boy. I'm serious. So big boy. So I was saving a lot of money. In fact, because of that job, I was able to build my first house before I was 25.
Built your first house.
I built my first house before I was 25 in Ogun State. Yes, I
That
did.
means you bought the land first.
I bought the land and I built house on it. Yes. Wow. And that's why now today, I don't think anything is impossible, because I did all those things very young. And I see that if you put your heart to anything, there's nothing you can do really. So on that job, I met a lot of people, celebrities, bank CEOs, relationships I still keep today, and that is, and not relationships where I just know them, they know me very well and we're good. You get what I mean? So that job really helped me. And that was how my advent into professional work started while I was in school. So I was already filling my CV as when I was in school. So when I graduated, in fact, when I finished school, when I went to serve, let me shock you.
Where did you serve?
I served in Cross River State, Obubra. So I'd gotten so because I was doing that journalism thing, I was interviewing celebrities. Eventually, I started doing PR services for celebrities. Right, I started earning money. At a point, I started managing Bovi, started managing Mona Lisa Chinda. I remember when I went for service, right? And we were going to pay 30,000 naira in service, right? And on that same service ground, I was receiving a lot of 300,000 naira, for my monthly services for PR. You get what I mean?
Wow.
So it was that serious. I had gotten really serious. So beyond the job, I got entrepreneurial. Was offering services, and that was how I was able to build my first house, like I said. So after that job, I took another role at Daystar as a media officer, and eventually, I'm also I'm naturally a creative person. So if I see a design, I can tell you, do this, and to be much more better, So as a media officer, the organization decided to create a digital marketing department. We call it new media,
Wait,
So and I was
like television channel, right? Like
no, the Daystar, the church, Samadhi organization,
okay.
yeah, because that's the church I attended, and I think it actually started with I volunteered once, and when they saw the value that I brought, they brought me on board, and that was how I was drafted to lead the new media unit. So I became the head of new media, and then
that was your first job after you left school. Your first
that was my first job. So I started as media officer, then head of new media, right, in the same organization, right? And that was where we were able to do a lot of disruptive things. We started these punchline 1-minute videos of pastors that got trending and all of that, blew up.
Hey God.
Blew up the we got a lot of our content trending actually, that the freeze will carry some, it became controversial, some people, so basically while we were able to grow the organization's social media account from like 20,000 followers across board to over 500,000, during my stay, during my leadership, and I also got it verified Facebook, verified Twitter, verified Instagram,
Wow.
Before I left. And it was upon leaving that I actually founded Afrilearn with my friend. right? So the idea for Afrilearn came while I was still at Daystar, it just started. Okay, so before Afrilearn, actually, I have a platform online called Top Niger. If you go Top Niger, so Top Niger is like a news platform for young people. People call it Nigeria's top youth platform. So one time like that, I did an experiment. So because I does news and entertainment, but what I'm really passionate about is empowerment, right? So at a point, I like, okay,
What
how
was the name of that your book, sir? The one you wrote?
success power, success
Oh,
power,
Success Power.
success power. That was the name of the book, right?
Is it still in print or is it out of?
Well, I think I still have a few copies. He actually sold a lot because even my school, LASU, my school library took it up and they started selling them.
Wow.
And while I was in
You're the
school,
kind of student that will say, can you see?
yeah,
Can you
yeah,
see?
for real. While I was in school, I had a lot of colleagues say, "Yeah, I saw your picture in the library. I saw your book in the library. Oh, I'm reading your book now. And then while I was in school, also I started organizing conferences. I organized some of the biggest conferences when I was in school. Actually, I'll bring people like Kunle Shorin or Nia Adesonya, all sorts of people, and then it's free conference, people will come. And so I've always carried that passion really for youth empowerment, to add value to young people. Because for me, I think one of the things that gets me angry is when I see a young person, languishing away or wasting their lives away. Because I know that everybody carries this seed of greatness. You just need to find your own area. Once you find that area and you are committed to it, nothing can stop you really. So, but I say that many people are oblivious of these facts, or they just don't know what to do with their lives. So I just want to be able to help, right? So I started organizing that conference. When I was in school, it was called Global Change Forum. After school, I continued, but changed the name to Success Stories Africa. With my friends, we organized a lot. We went to the underdeveloping communities. So we did that for a long time, but it was not sustainable because we always had to fund it with our own money. We wrote sponsorship letters. We never got
Sponsorships and they rejected you, or is it that you guys wanted to run it?
We sought for sponsorships, right? We got some, but the major ones we wanted to get, like we got some products partnership, like Wilson Lemonade gave us products, Sweet Sensation gave us products, but we wanted to make it really bigger than, like go to the stadium. I remember going to the stadium to price how much it would cost and all of those things, But at that year, I think we were promised by a brand, but it didn't materialize. It almost did, but they had some financial issues, so it didn't materialize. So I just thought, okay, this thing will not scale as long as it's dependent on an external funder. You get what I mean? So since then I've been looking at, okay, how can I create something that will be self-sustainable, where even if people are paying 1 naira, it's able to sustain itself. So we're not depending on external sponsors, right? And the fact that I also had this online platform, Top Niger, I started doing some experiments. So I got some past questions, started putting online, and I saw that the thing was getting traction, right? So it then occurred to me that why don't people go to school? Because they can't afford education, right? So why can't we have why do they go to school? Because the people that can afford it, why do they go to school? Because there's a particular curriculum that they have to go through. That's all. So why can't we have the content covering that entire curriculum online? And people, so instead of having to teach people every time, you just create it once and everybody can enjoy it, right? So that was the idea. So I bought printer, started putting a lot of these things online. I remember taking some of those taking some of those past questions. Buying a printer. Even my wife helps to scan some of them and all of that. I started putting online. But eventually I saw that, okay, this is good. A lot of people are going for it, but it needs to have a dedicated platform. Not
Okay,
say
maybe it's the Top Niger at that
I was
point.
doing it on Top Niger, so it has to be a dedicated platform. So I registered a platform called freepassquestions.com. But it still was limited to free pass questions. So I was now thinking of, okay, let's have it as a holistic, as a whole school online. So I called my friend, Gabriel, my childhood friend. He's an extraordinary guy. Like, we've been together for a long time. We also grew up together. When I say I grew up with friends where we read together, it's one of them. Himself, Tayo Ojo, Songyakpan. Yeah, and that's why friendship is very, very powerful. It can destroy your life, it can make your life. That's the truth. So I called him and I shared a vision with him, And the things I was thinking about, he was already saying them even before I told him everything. So naturally, we became co-founders. So he resigned his job, I resigned my job, and then we just went to start. Yes. And at that time, we were both married, so we took the risk, irrespective. I was already head of new media, so it's a position I was supposed to, I was already due for another promotion. He too was already COO at a media firm. So we left those positions, and then we started with our own. We hired like three graduates, and we started paying them to create the content. We started creating content, and then we didn't know where to go from there. Yes, for Afrilearn, we started creating content. We paid a developer to build the first version. The person didn't build. What the person built was not good. So we couldn't use it, and we had paid quite some bucks, quite a lot of money actually. So I was like, how do we move from here? So I started applying for what's it called, incubation, all this incubation accelerator. And as God would have it, we got into an incubation called Orange Corners. It's an incubation that is powered by the Kingdom of the Netherlands in partnership with Faith Foundation, right? And that's how I got in. I couldn't believe it. Like, I couldn't believe it. Like, wow, is that this thing happens? So I got into Faith Foundation. I remember that day when they first called me. See, when you have a vision, you aside from God, right? You are the only person that can decide whether it's traction or not. Everything is on you, right? The day you give up, it's the day the vision ends. But as long as you don't give up, really, and you are correctable, everything is possible. So that day I was at my friend's wedding, and I just got a call. I'd applied, praying that I will get in. Because I saw that they will give you, aside from the incubation 6 months, they will also give you some money, more or less like a startup fund, and we needed that money actually, plus, So I got the call and they were like, okay, I'll go through some interviews. In my mind, I'm like, this interview, I'm gonna kill myself here. Like, you guys, like, this is either I die here. I don't get this, I get this, So because we needed that support and we just needed it. And then so I went for the pitching, so they selected out of 900 or
So was
something.
it online or you guys actually went to Netherlands at that point?
No, we used the physical office of Faith Foundation in what's it called now? In Lagos. I forgot the exact place, but in Lagos we used the physical, but it was online. We applied online, and the applications are still on actually. They do the application every 3 months, every 6 months, right? So it's still on, and I encourage a lot of entrepreneurs to apply for it, especially if you're just starting out with your idea. It's a very powerful platform to kickstart. I think that without OCN, I'm not sure Afrilearn would have gotten to where we had today. So Orange Corners Nigeria. So I got there. I went to pitch. So from 900 and something startups that applied, they selected 30. And after that 30, they were going to do a 1-week program. After that 1 week, you pitch again, and they select the best 20. So it's the 20 that will go through that 6 months. Right, so all that 20, they will give you some seed fund, and then at the end of the program, they will now select the best 5, and I'll give you what they call the Orange Corners Innovation Fund, right? So I pitched my life out. I made the first 20. In fact, I was number 1 actually when they called names. Number 1 out of the 20, out of the 30 years.
But everybody was listening to your pitch.
Yes, everybody listened to the
all
pitch.
the remaining 30 people.
The board was there, the panel were there, including people from the Netherlands and all of that. Wow. So pitch the idea, and then I got in, and then after the 6 months also, so we were going to select another best 5. I also made top 3, and then that's how we got the funding to start up. So we're able to hire more staff, and then now started properly as a company, doing things, and that's how Afrilearn actually took off. So since then, we've enjoyed different, a few other grants. Like recently, we got UNICEF just invested into Afrilearn $100,000 equity free, so that also helped us to build our artificial intelligence.
Is it a debt grant or like it's just equity free? Like just
equity free, not debt grants, equity free, so they just want us to build an open source to enhance Afrilearn with an open source solution, small as building the solution, but the solution is going to be open source, meaning that people can use it across the world, right? So yeah, we're looking to use that to advance Afrilearn's personalization and machine learning possibilities, basically to make education more intuitive for our users, right? So So that's been the story. Wow, I think I've spoken a lot. You asked me just one question. But that's been the journey, really. In a nutshell, that's been the
But
journey.
I love how you connected it because like it's a whole thing, like from your
Yeah,
grandmother all the way to big on
yeah,
Lasso, all the way to like the fun.
yeah,
Like it
yeah,
makes sense now in
yeah,
perspective.
yeah. One thing led to another, and it's just always a continual story. Yeah, based on a vision, where you want to be. Of course, I decided very early in life that I wanted to be great, and that's because I saw from both ends, both sides of the coin. I saw the good life, I saw the average life, where I grew up, or where I eventually grew up. I saw the good life, when I went to stay with my grandma, in places like Anthony Village. I saw massive houses. I'm like, okay, these people that live here, they don't have two heads. And we used to live here too, in a place like this too, until we lost everything. I'm like, okay, it's about decision, and I made a decision that, okay, my life will not be the only option I had that I gave myself was not to be it was not to be either to be poor or to be rich. It was either to be rich or to be wealthy. In fact, so there was no middle ground, here. And in terms of
One bear
impact,
or one bear.
I'm telling you. So, and in terms of impact also, I wanted to impact lives because I saw the impact of what happened to my father, and in how it impacted our family. Then I also saw even people that were worse off, even despite how after it happened to us. I saw people that most people that were worse off, and I'm like, these guys don't deserve to go through this. These guys don't deserve not to have quality education because they didn't bring themselves to the world, right? So I think that the kind of world that we should live in is a world where the only reason why someone is not educated is because they've chosen not to be educated, not because they don't have the power to be educated. So I think that every child deserves the power, the access to quality world-class education. And that's exactly what Afrilearn is doing. So what we do at Afrilearn basically is we integrate some of the best teachers we can find. We integrate seasoned tutors, animators, and developers to make affordable education available for young Africans, right?
So
And
I
the way we
wanted
do
to
it is
ask,
very
do
simple.
you, do
Yeah,
you go to like, so do you
yeah.
look for specific schools and then you go to their teachers and then you say, can you do this? And not ask them, right, to be teachers for Africa? Or do you do like
Oh,
call for applications? What procedure do you?
fantastic. So what we do is we do both actually. We do call for applications majorly, and then where we also see that one teacher is exceptional, we go directly and pitch to the teacher and ask them to come on board. Of course, we pay them, we pay the teachers, but at the end of the day, um, the impact is actually far wide. I mean, more wide reaching than the payments. You get what I mean? So when we get the teachers, we then bring them into our studio. We already have the curriculum for the classes or the subjects. So what we do
Can I
is we
just
do
ask a question about the curriculum before we go?
sure.
Like, so, because first of all, me, I'm pure arts, like any day, anytime. I'm an art student, like things like that.
Awesome.
But
Awesome.
like now, like in this period of my life, right, I'm just appreciating science more. I'm just trying to turn 360 now.
Interesting.
That I see the relevance. But I just wanted to ask, like for Nigerian syllabus, because I have a problem personally with Nigerian syllabus. I think like it's old. I think there's something that are not relevant. Right? I think there's some subjects that has to be added and whatever.
I
So I
agree.
want to know like how you guys. So do you use the Ministry of Education's approved syllabus, or do you guys synthesize based on what you think is relevant for WAEC and JAM?
Okay, fantastic question. Fantastic question. So this is what we do. We simply go to the Ministry of Education and we get the approved curriculum. The approved curriculum is generally from the current curriculum. So what we get is the approved current curriculum, right? So that's what we work with. And then we have every teacher or every subject come to teach every single topic, covering the entire curriculum across all subjects in front of cameras, right? But what we then do is after that, we don't stop there. We take these thousands, of course, we end up having thousands of video lessons because you're covering every single topic, right? And then we convert them into animation such that when a learner is watching our videos, they're not only seeing a teacher on the screen like they see in their normal classroom, but they're also seeing illustrations and animation of what is being said per time by the teacher, right? That's because one of the major reasons why education is not effective in Africa is because
Sorry.
two reasons. it's very boring. So children wander away while they're in class. They're in class, their body is in class, but they are somewhere else. That's one. Number two, learning is not personalized. So people learn differently. I learn by visuals. If you show me, if I listen to an audible, I have to listen separately for me to get. But if I learn by visuals, I just need this once, I'm good. So, and there are some people that actually learn by practicing problems. Some learn by, so what we've done at Afrilearn is that we have combined all these learning styles into one platform. So on Afrilearn, you have the video lessons, you have the class notes, you have the practice tests, and you have the social learning. So irrespective of how best you learn, you're able to learn using the method that suits you on the platform, right? So at the end of the day, we animate them. So when a learner is watching, they're not just seeing their teacher teaching like they do. They are still seeing illustrations, because even aside that, whatever we learn with pleasure, if you learn something with pleasure, you can never forget it. And so that's why it's been very, very effective so far. And what we then do is, after in addition to this curriculum, we then had technology skills, because we want to be curriculum relevant. That's very important for the government, right? So after we have certified the government, we now had supplementary technology skills to it, because we know that the curriculum to a large extent has its own defects, because we think that a large part of that curriculum actually prepares students for yesterday, not for the future, right? So what we do is we had content that then prepare children for the future. So for instance, we just finished producing coding classes content, that teaches students how to use HTML, CSS, Java, on the platform. Even if you are 7 years old, you are able to use those materials and start coding on the platform. So that's what we do. So we bridge the gap that the curriculum doesn't cover by making it supplementary. But first, we try to fulfill the curriculum, because the audience we are catering for, they are judged by that curriculum, in terms of when they go to write WAEC or JAM and all of that. So they will judge them by that. So we want them to be able to pass effortlessly, right? So that's basically how that goes. So we then make this vast library of contents and personalized learning available for user subscription, through our mobile app and web platform. So at the end of the day, it's just like subscribing to Netflix. In fact, we've had different media houses call us the Netflix of education for young Africans.
Wow.
So what Netflix is to movies and entertainment is what Afrilearn is to learning and education. You get what I mean? Yeah. So that's basically what it is.
Excellent. Okay, now I just wanted to also just ask, because I registered for physics, because I don't know, I just have this love for physics naturally. And I went to your platform, right? And I started from SS1 anyway, and I registered for physics. And I realized, that because I had not yet subscribed, I know there's a subscription model, right? So I just want you to tell everybody that will be listening now, basically what the different subscriptions offer, because I know that obviously there's a free version, but it looks like there's a subscribed version as well, right? So what's the difference between the two? What's the benefit between the two, right? And basically how can they maximize the platform in its actual sense?
Awesome. So what you have on the platform is you have genius contents, you have personalized learning, so you're able to learn anytime, anywhere, using any device, as long as you're connected to the internet. And that's another thing we're even trying to bridge now, how people can access Afrilearn without internet, but we're getting there soon, by God's grace, right? And then you can also prepare for your examination. You want to write WAEC, you want to write JAM, you can prepare for everything on the Afrilearn platform. Even as teachers, we have loads of teachers and schools that use Afrilearn to teach, and we're so glad about that. So we have teachers that when they go to teach evening classes, they just bring the Afrilearn app with them, and they're able to teach their students using the app on their laptops or via mobile, right, or via tablets. And that's because it saves them huge amounts of time, because the lesson notes, and as a teacher, you have to write your lesson notes before you can come to class. But the lesson notes are already on the platform. So you just go and start teaching. Then we have schools that when they resume in the morning, they just project the Afrilearn platform on their board and they start teaching, right? So, but in terms of the package, we have We have profiles for students, for 4 classes of people: students, teachers, parents, and schools, right? So we have schools that also subscribe en masse for their students. So, but in terms of subscription, this is how it works. We have 4 different classes of subscriptions. We have the monthly subscription, we have the bi-monthly subscription, which is twice a month. We have the quarterly subscription, sorry, which is 3 months. We have the biannual subscription, which is 6 months, and we have the annual subscription, which is 1 year. Now, on the free platform, you can access contents. Definitely, you can access most of these things, but the number of videos that you would have access to is very limited on the free platform, right? So when you subscribe, a subscription for 1 month is just 1,000 naira, 1,000 Nigerian naira. Imagine. So if you subscribe to Netflix, the least you pay is 4,000 naira per month, right? But Afrilearn is 1,000 naira per month, and this is education. And this is where you can learn technology skills. You can learn the curriculum. You can pass WAEC and JAM using the resources.
1K only.
Yeah, 1K only. So, and the quarter, and if you even go further and do the quarterly one, you further say 500. That's 2,500 naira. So instead of having spent 3,000 naira in 3 months, you spend 2,500. If you go for the biannual one, you spend 5,000 naira. So you'll be saving 1,000 naira. And if you go for the annual one, then you pay just 10,000 naira. So that one, you'll be saving 2,000 naira. So basically, we made this provision so that people can have access, and then you can watch Afrilearn via your smartphone, tablet, smart TV, laptop, any streaming device, and then learn as much as you want wherever you are on the go, And then the interesting thing also is that on the paid version, you have access to more personalized features, right? Including social. You can interact with other students on the platform. You can ask our teachers questions, live questions, and they will answer you. You have access to the video lessons, audio lessons, class notes, practice quiz, and at times we also do live classes, right? So this is the difference between the free platform and the paid version. On the free platform, you just have those class notes and some video lessons, but on the free platform, you have full content. Yeah, so that's a major difference between the two.
Wow, excellent. I think that's for anybody that's listening, just makes it more clear as to which one to choose. Right. I mean, it's very affordable still. Like sometimes I look at some platforms. I'm like, how if it's me, yeah, I'll just go 5K or you. But anyways, that's awesome. I wanted to ask also about the parent subscription, right? Because I understand, like for students, I understand for teachers, right, why they might be on the platform. But like, are the parents there in connection to the child? Are the parents there for themselves? So like, what's the parent subscription like? As a parent registry, what is it like?
Okay, fantastic. So the parents basically are there to have access to the platform so they can monitor their child's progress. When a child is learning, it doesn't just end there as just the activity. Okay, what makes learning very, very effective is to measure what's working and what's not working. So for instance, if you learn as a child now, a parent is on the parent profile, the parent is able to see the subjects, the exact subjects where the student is performing excellently well, right? And they're also able to see the subjects where where their child is struggling. So what that helps us to do is then to know how to help the child in the areas of weaknesses, so that at the end of the day, the child is not only excelling at what they are good at, they're also able to get better at the courses or the subjects in which they are struggling. So that's what the parents profile actually does. It provides analytics that shows how the child is doing, how much content the child is consuming. So for instance, if the child switches from a learning platform to another platform, you will know, because to show you that, okay, this is the amount of content the child has consumed so far. You understand? So you're able to say, Isaac, you have not learned today on Afrilearn. Go back and start learning.
Yeah. You're snitching children. You're snitching them.
So by the end of the day, it's actually geared towards helping them be the best that they can be.
Oh, excellent. All right. And I don't know, I'm seeing you guys are disrupting the whole lesson teacher. I don't know what going on.
We're just getting started, actually. We're just getting
Sorry?
started. So we're just getting started, actually.
Oh,
We're
okay.
just getting started.
Well, yeah, I can remember, like, I don't know if you had a lesson teacher, but I know lesson teacher was a big thing where you're like in primary school, like early secondary school, like, they'll bring someone to come and help you. I
Exactly.
can just see like,
Exactly.
at this point, the parents find your platform, just pay 10K a year, and you just put this child, see, these 2 hours, just be on this platform and go over everything you're doing. Right? And I
Yeah,
think that's
exactly.
at the end of the day. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. Like, it's obviously good because you guys are very personalized and you're very focused on the success of the students at the end of the day. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
those products. Then I want to ask you as well, like, what are your thoughts on how the Nigerian educational system, right? Because obviously you are following the due process because you have your target audience needs to succeed in their various
Mm,
position,
mm.
so you have to do that, right? But how do you think? I think you started saying that already. But how do you think Nigeria's education can scale up? And like, what are the kind of subjects, first of all, that we need to remove because they're
Mm,
archaic, and then what are the ones that we need to add up? Like for
mm.
generally now for secondary school students. I don't know if you think primary school students to have need a reform. But yeah, how can we reform the education the educational system?
Well, that's a huge question, really. And interestingly, I think that it's a question that we try to field answers to almost every time. The education system in Nigeria is at a very interesting stage. It's at a very deplorable state, to say the least, and that's not because anybody wants to say that. It's simply because of the statistics. If you look at people that write WAEC, the rate of the pass rate, the failure rate, it's alarming. It's terrible. It's heartbreaking. And what we found is that even the government is not it cannot solve the problem really. Not anytime soon. And you know why?
Wow.
Because based on the number of people we have who are ready to go to school, you know, and compared to the facilities that we have, the number of schools that we have, it's not at par, right? And if we say we want to even spend money on education, to start building schools, it will take us decades, to be able to catch up with the demands
Wow.
of education that we have, you know. So the first thing I would say is I think if the government's, in terms of solution to the education space, is that the government needs to pay a strategic attention to technology, how technology can transform education, you know. So instead of the whole brick and mortar, yes, the brick and mortar will continue, but education needs the help of technology significantly, and that is what we have not done in Nigeria, right? So for instance, we have startups who have already built solutions, what stops the government from partnering with the few startups that build the solutions and scale those solutions to more students, at a highly subsidized rate, right? So that way you already have most people being catered for. And then the brick and mortar system, what I call brick and mortar is the physical school system, can cater also for people, who must go to the physical structure, or we could even have an hybrid model where people learn online and also learn physically. That way more people have access, because with technology, you create the product once, it's very difficult. But once it is created, people are able to use it, as much as possible. I don't know if you understand what I just said, right? In terms of meanwhile, in the brick and mortar system, the teacher has to exert strength every day. You have to come to the board every day and teach the same subject. Next time you teach it again. But with technology, it's created once and people can keep using it for life, right? So why not partner with those startups and help them reach these students en masse, right? So that the solution can go across board, and then this thing can be subsidized, that's the first thing I think that we need to do. The second thing really is curriculum overhauling, right? Like I said earlier, we have a curriculum and an education space where we are passionately preparing children for yesterday instead of preparing them for the future. And the danger of that is that when it gets to that future, they will be, to a large extent, except for those that take personal responsibility, they will be to a large extent limited compared to their counterparts across the world, right? Because in every other area across the world, people are prioritizing technology. Of course, not everybody will be in technology, right? But everybody would use technology. It's not negotiable, right? But how many people are being prepared to use technology? Because if you don't know how to use technology, you're going to be limited in terms of your potentials, in the world that we're headed into, right? So there are many other things, but I think that to start with, we need to look into those two things. They are very, very cardinal. Technology and curriculum overhauling. If we focus on those two things and we're able to really, really double down on them, we will see a drastic turnaround, in our results across board, across Nigeria.
Okay. Thank you so much, like, for that, for those inputs. Yeah, and I'm guessing like when you say technology, you're more like the infrastructure based, like so as you said, for example, that you guys have like coding, learning like programming languages that can help you to just, like basic
Yeah.
problem solving, right? Problem solving
Problem
language.
solving skills needs to be added to the curriculum. It's part of technology. Then technology needs to be harnessed more in terms of, okay, provide technology infrastructure to schools, provide technology infrastructure to communities, right? So that they have access to the internet, access to device. We can create centers where people will just stream education. I mean, that's, and they make it free for them. You subsidize it with the startups that provide it, and then people, you just be shocked. People will be starting. Look at it, Nigeria right now. We have 6 startups that are unicorn in Nigeria.
Mm-hmm.
You know, imagine if those guys were never introduced to technology. That would not
Yeah.
happen. Imagine what that is doing to our economy. 6 startups, that's over $1 billion for each of them. That's technology. That's the power of technology. But haven't seen that results. How much have we tried to harness the potentials or making the technology available for many more youths that could even do greater things than that, for the future. So that's the thing. So making technology available in terms of use, in terms of access for young Nigerians, that's the starting point. And then secondly, granting them access to skills, technology skills, leveraging these platforms that are already introduced, so that's basically one of the things I think is very expedient for now.
Nice. So as we begin to round up, I just wanted to ask, like, basically, what you think about being Nigeria. Like, what are your thoughts? Like, first of all, like, what do you
Don't
think
get me
being
started.
Nigerian is? Right? Because to different people, it's different.
Yeah.
Um,
Wow.
from your perspective.
Amazing. I think being in Nigeria is one of the best things that can happen to you as a human being. And I kid you not, man. It's amazing to be a Nigerian. I don't think I want to be. I don't think I want to change anything about that really, if I had the power to. Because being a Nigerian has shown me the power of resilience. I have the spirit of resilience inside me. It is non-negotiable. I know I am a resilient
That
person.
sounds like
Right.
an affirmation.
You said?
It sounds like an affirmation.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I mean, at least I've been to quite some places, right? I appreciate people everywhere, but there's just something about Nigerian spirit,
That's
that is
positive,
just
yes.
that is always just positive, no matter what they are going through. Look at what we're going through in the country today. If you go online, you see people are still making banters, and still living joyfully, right? Amidst the worst, challenges that you could ever think of, right? And aside that, it's also the entrepreneurial spirit. Man, that one is mind blowing. The entrepreneurial spirit, yeah, and I think that I saw that in my mom while I was growing up. My mom, when things went down for my dad, she literally stood up and became the breadwinner, and she did a lot. She did a lot of businesses and she succeeded. She sent us to school with, so that's the Nigerian spirit, the spirit that irrespective of what I'm going through, I have what it takes, to turn things around, to change my realities. The spirit of I am responsible for the outcome of my life. That's the Nigerian spirit. And I think that's one of the greatest things about being Nigerian. And the fact that this has been absolutely undeniable everywhere you see a Nigerian. There's a Nigerian guy in the US, the founder of Calendly, talked by Awotono. That's the Nigerian spirit, right? And we have many, many of them that are springing up across board. So I think being a Nigerian is a priceless blessing, and I think it's one of the best things that can happen to anyone.
Thank you so much for that. Yeah, I mean, even in the United States, like I was reading, somewhere how the Nigerian diaspora, like in the United States, are more educated than Americans in the United
Absolutely.
States.
Absolutely.
I'm not trying to brag.
We're
Before
not bragging. We don't brag.
Ghanaians will come and say, these
Even
people.
in the UK, I got a global talent list. I'm in studying groups where we have founders that are doing amazing stuff. In the UK, like Nigerians are pushing the envelope like crazy, like like effortlessly, like innovatively, and doing that like back to back consistently as if it's nothing, and that's how we have. That's how we have. We fall down but we rise up back again. I think that the only problem really is the plague of poor leadership, that has consistently been on the rise in the country. We have where you have a situation where the worst is leading the best. I think that's probably our greatest problem. So if things were to be turned around, so look at what is currently happening now. I don't want to mention names, but you see the person that is taking the lead in terms of, imagine that person as the president for the next, so that's the issue. That's the issue with Nigeria. But I believe the best. I believe that things can change for the better. I believe if we have good leadership, and when I say good leadership, I don't mean perfect leadership because nobody is perfect. But I mean leadership that truly prioritizes people, that truly loves people, that is truly empathic, that is truly visionary. When we can say, okay, this is our vision for Nigeria. This is what we want to achieve for the next 50 or 100 years. This is the Nigeria of our dreams. And then we map out action plan strategies to achieve there, to get there. And we have policies that no matter who becomes president, they must continue with this plan, right? And we begin at it, because we have all the best. Like I'm currently in Canada. And one of the things you realize that there are times when you are in Canada and you dare not go out because of the weather. That's a limitation. You dare not go out because of seriously, that's a limitation, right? But in Nigeria, we don't have such weather. The worst weather in Nigeria is beautiful, right? But what are we doing with that? We have natural resources. There's almost nothing we don't have. These guys, if you go to, I've been to Dubai, those guys don't have, they have artificial pools, seas, oceans, artificial everything. But see how beautiful, see how innovative, see how creative those guys have turned out to be. So that's basically the law with life, really. If we manage what we have well, that's the only guarantee that we'll have a better future, either as an individual or as a nation, because we don't grow big to manage well. We manage well to grow big. So once we have that leadership in Nigeria, we believe that the nation itself will be on its way to greatness, aside just its people. Yeah. And I look forward to that.
Right. So finally, I just wanted to ask, like, what is the future of for you, the dream for Afrilearn, first of all? Like, where do you see it becoming? What's your dream for it? And what do you think the future holds for you, right? And then how can people contact you also?
Well, thank you very much, sir. So the future for Afrilearn really is a future where we wake up, you wake up, I wake up, and we realize that education is finally free in Africa. Like that, no matter where you come from, you have access to quality world-class education as a Nigerian, right? Whether your parents can afford education or not, you have access to it. Why? Because education is now available and world class. That's the future of Afrilearn, really. And Afrilearn wants to play a major role in making that happen, right? And it's very simple. We want to make affordable, we want to make world-class education affordably available for young Africans. And in so doing, we want to become Africa's best education brand. That's the goal for Afrilearn, and that's where I see Afrilearn in the next couple of years, really. Yeah. And what's the other question now?
How can people reach out to you and contact you?
How can people reach out to me? I'm very available, actually. Interestingly, my handle is Isaac Africa _. So both on Twitter and on Instagram. Yeah, that's the fastest way. to reach out to me. It's Twitter, Instagram at Isaac Africa _. And then I'm also on YouTube, Isaac Oladipupo on YouTube. I just started a few things on YouTube. Yeah. So I'm very open, and also looking forward. I mean, this was a beautiful conversation, by the way. Look forward to having more conversations like this, and bringing our skills, our talent, our resources to bear towards the Nigeria and the Africa that we all deserve, actually, as especially for our children and for our children's children. Definitely.
Thank you, Isaac, for accepting. Just before we go, like I love those things that yeah, okay. I think it's also important to mention that you're a tech bro, right? So like your advice that you give like on Instagram, especially the videos that you create, right? Like the 5 things or like the 1 minute video and 30 seconds. So I think that that is beautiful for everybody. Like being a thought leader, especially like in that field, right? For because there's a wave of people bandwagoning into tech, into coding, into UI UX designing, and like being that person that's advising. I think is beautiful as well. So thank you so much for this opportunity, for this privilege. I don't know. Maybe tomorrow now, maybe the one we'll see in Forbes, for instead of top 10, we'll see Isaac. But thank you so much, Isaac.
Thank you very much, sir. Thanks for doing this session. It was I enjoyed my time with you, and well done. Have a beautiful rest of the day.